All right, Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, bringing you college football content each and every day. If you're stumbling across us for the very first time, dive into the videos, see what we've got. I hope that if you love college football, you'll find a home right here. Like, comment, share the videos, and subscribe. We got Justin DeTavio on the line from Ironman Football. You can also catch his work at State of the U. Justin, how's it going today?
Good. Summer break officially is on, so that's a plus.
Nice. So, yeah, it doesn't seem much like summer today, but it's been nice for the last several weeks here. We're waiting for the good weather to return. So, this is a point of the college football season where it's pretty much the dead time between the end of spring practice and the beginning of media days. But when it comes to recruiting, this is a hot time with all the camps and the prospects coming in and being looked over, a lot of offers going out. Recruiting, I tell you, I get some serious attraction when I talk recruiting. People are deep into the recruiting, and there's probably less known about recruiting though than any other aspect of the game by a lot of fan bases. So take us into a particular recruiting camp, summer camp, what goes on, how it functions, how it works, what your experiences have been.
Yeah, I've gone both way back in a long time ago as a player, not as somebody that was like on the special invite list by any means, just as somebody going to go and wanting to see it at the University of Miami. At the time, one that I did was not held on campus. One of the ones I went to was actually held in the Orange Bowl, which was pretty cool. And I've been to them on campus as well as at UCF and some other places where we've done them, NC State, some other places. So one of the things that's really interesting about it, is that there are people who are asked in a way to come, right? So they're sought after to be attendees versus there are a lot of people who just pay. Some of the coaches out there, they'll make it very affordable. And so they drop the prices into the $30 range so that everybody can go. Sometimes that's foreseen as like kind of luring in kids who might be D3, D2, maybe not even college level real talent at all, luring them into thinking that they're a little bit higher of a prospect. And other people feel like it's opening up the, socioeconomic gap. So it's able to be affordable by everybody, and you may not have to go through maybe a shady channel in order to afford to go.
So basically, at these camps, I've heard various coaches talk about the importance or maybe lack thereof in regards to evaluating talent, that kids can run around in their shorts and that they want. I've heard Urban Meyer in particular talk about, speaking to a group of young players, maybe at the end of the camp and talking about the good things that he saw, some of the mistakes he saw, and that sort of thing, but then saying, hey, what you need to do now is obviously go back to your high school, be a productive student, be a leader, work your tail off. Because if you're not doing that for your own school, then you can go to all the camps in the world, and that's not going to pay off. But there's obviously value to it, and there's obviously something that coaches are looking for. And I would think it's sheer athleticism, kind of like an NFL scouting combine.
Yeah, and Urban Meyer is great at talking about that, and then not so great at backing it up. Right? Not exactly known for his recruiting the top 1% of 1%, as he proclaimed when it came to character. But yeah, I mean, it is a place to see somebody in person. You want to get eyes on somebody. There are guys that you could tell somebody he's 6'5", 230, and they could be completely two different body types somehow. I've seen that with my own eyes, just with the players that I've trained. I think you want to get your eyes on them. You want to see them move in person. It's one thing to watch somebody on film. It's another thing to watch somebody or read about, oh, he ran such and such a time. Well, was it laser timed or was it hand timed? Was it first movement or was it, when you drop the watch, it hits your leg? Was it on a whistle? I mean, a whistle is going to be the slowest one out of three of them. Seeing the watch hit the leg, at least you have some anticipation as you drop it. First movement, of course, is going to make you the fastest. Laser time is going to make you even like the most slow. It's like the minute that you even like breathe to move forward, it already clicks you. So, there are a lot of aspects in that. How was it timed? What were the drills that were ran? And then they want to see some of the competitive edge, right? Like there isn't a whole lot to see from an unpadded one-on-one between an offensive lineman and defensive lineman. Like there's almost nothing to see besides effort, right? If you really just want to see who's working and who's got grit, who gets frustrated, or you have one bad rep, you yell. If you're getting coached a lot, are you going to take it or are you going to pout? I mean, some of that is there. That's why the guys are numbered a lot of times. You're in jersey 732 and stuff, so that they are known for who it is, and the coaches will make little notes and stuff like that. It's exposure too. You're getting out there. If somebody's in rural Arkansas and they get themselves all the way to Baton Rouge for a camp, that's somebody they may never even gone to see. Arkansas doesn't put out as many players as a state, so they may not drive even that much into Arkansas to go look at kids. So there is a lot of aspects to it. Personally, if I was a D1, head coach, of course you want to have a camp. You want as much hype around your program as humanly possible. So Jeff Collins uses it obviously to watch talent, but also it's a chance to introduce what his program's doing, how different it is from Paul Johnson, how different he is. He's a pretty exciting guy, right? So just about that atmosphere that you're projecting out into the world. So it is a mixture of recruiting kids to your philosophy as you are trying to find out who's the next star player.
Talking college football, high school football with Justin Tattavio from Ironman Football. He also does work at State of the U breaking down game tape. So Justin, in regards to the football that we talk about on a weekly basis with you, has to do with the X's and O's, mostly the passing game. And so the ball skills, I would think, when you talk offensive linemen and defensive linemen, that the evaluation is diminished. But ball skills, when you put a football out there and let quarterbacks and running backs and wide receivers handle it, then you can obviously tell something there. Yeah,
you're going to see. I mean, you're lacking that pass rush, really. So, there isn't that pressure. There aren't, 6'5" guys stay in your face, whether you believe that that's a deterrent to make an accurate throw or not, which, that's always up for debate. But, yeah, I think you're going to still see accuracy. Again, you're going to see competition. Does this person want to compete? Do they want to beat the other team when they're down by 3 touchdowns? Are they the person just starts chucking up balls and stuff? Or are they still doing exactly how you want them to do it? Just throw a nice little tight, accurate throws and things like that. I think you want to see the competition. There's a famous story that, when Miami went to recruit Ken Dorsey, they actually wanted him based off of a pickup basketball game, or maybe it was like, a high school basketball game. Obviously never played basketball in college, but it was like his competitiveness, his leadership. They watched him do it in another sport. 7-on-7 can be the same way. Like, who steps up and gets everybody like rallied together, and you're down by 2 points. There's 45 seconds left. You have a kid that's going to say, "Throw me the ball," and goes up and makes the play, or you have a bunch of guys who shy away from the moment, right? Michael Jordan's known for taking the shot in the moment. He wants the ball, right? LeBron James has wanted at times and passed off at times. That's what people say the difference between being the greatest of all time and being almost the greatest of all time is, right? So I think in one of those 7-on-7s, a kid just says, "Just give me the ball." He goes up and makes a play, or a quarterback just knives through some guys with a minute and a half left or something. I think you're seeing the competitive nature, whether you could do all the dumb dancing around videos and stuff that we see online of the guy like doing a backflip in the middle of a play, or some stupid would actually happen in a game or
not. Have you seen any drills there at any of these camps that you've stolen and taken and thought, hey, this makes sense. Let's see what if this works for my team?
Not in particular, especially with the combine-oriented ones. When they're more combine-oriented, which sometimes they're different. Sometimes they're like learning camps. Like, we go to NC State right now where I'm at, and we take our offensive defensive line more to like a learning camp. And so they're actually learning drills and stuff. Now, that would be more inclined to me watching and learning something. But, as far as the more combine-oriented ones that might have a lot of running and jumping and a little bit of 7-on-7, there's not much to take away from it. I don't even believe in most of the shit that they do. So, like, the 40, important for receivers and DBs only, probably. The 20-yard shuttle and all that, and I don't know what that really proves, because you don't really run back and forth like that very often. And you can actually like prep for the test, so you can kind of game the test, if you will. A vertical is great. I want to know that's whether you've been squatting or not, and there's some natural athleticism to it. A broad jump, that's whether you've been cleaning and snatching or not, and there's athleticism to that too. but not often do you just like leap out of nowhere and just jump forward and land. Like it's just very inoften in the games. Combine wise, bench pressing 185 pounds. I don't know. I really don't want you good at laying on your back and pushing weight off of you, or you're probably a really bad football player. So I don't really have my kids bench press when I run a weight room almost at all. It's something that we'll do like once a week as a throw in. Like, okay, this is one of those like lifts everyone should know how to do in case you go to the Y and Uncle Jed wants to throw on 400 pounds. I want you to know it's a safe weight, how to do it properly, how to lift through your legs, even on a bench press, things like that. Not putting your thumbs across the bar, have them wrapped around. Like just you'll see kids come in with their thumbs across the bar. Like your hand's gonna die when you put more than the bar on, right? Like just certain things you want people to be able to do it right when they go out and do it. But besides that, there's little takeaways here or there that you'll pick up on things, but I wouldn't say necessarily a whole lot that you get out of it. Not me personally.
Yeah. So the first time you would have gone to any of these camps is obviously as a player uh, seeking to go to college. So however long that's been, do you see these evolving in any way? Do you see any differences in the way they're approached? I'm guessing they're more extensive. They're more organized and larger than ever before.
Yeah, we had like the pin on number. I mean, I was 12, 13, 14. You know, we had pin on numbers onto the t shirt you wore there. Now you're getting like a t shirt to wear, if not the little meshy jersey thing that they give you. You know, that's sort of part of your fee and your takeaway, right? So that's a bigger aspect. I think you probably feel more special now. There's music playing and all that stuff, and Gatorade, you know, is out everywhere and tents, and there's athletic trainers. I don't maybe I just didn't get injured, so I didn't need one. I don't recall there being an athletic trainer around. You know, the Orange Bowl got hot. You know, things like that. You know, Art Kehoe, who was the offensive line coach in Miami for like 25 years, he was the one hands-on specifically working with me. That was an offensive lineman, so I had Coach Kehoe in my face. You know, as a young kid, 7th, 8th, 9th grader, being told what to do and what not to do. So I went through his individual period, like what he, and based on the DVDs that he sold and stuff, it is like exactly what he did for his individual period. So you got to really, as a player, I learned a ton because you're going through, I mean, the way to like block from knees up, the way to take a step and where the weighting is on your feet and how to get in a stance. And you learned almost everything you could possibly think of from Coach Kehoe. Now he talks fast, he's intense, like he was up in your face. Like it was great. You know, I was like one of the highlights of my playing career. And at that time, probably the highlight of my life. So, you know, that was something different. Now they still do that to an extent. You do get a little bit more high school coaches now and D3 guys that are around that kind of combine. You know, if it's at NC State, you're also going to get like Punxsutawney Community College from Pennsylvania down for some reason, and there's a satellite camp stuff. But you know, I think at the time, man, it was like Miami's coaches there. Now you stood in a lot of lines, and it was so now you're not as used to standing in line because everything's a microwave generation. So instead, we have to make sure we have 3 guys for these 25 kids. We can't just leave them in a line with going a few guys at a time. So I think they just sort of try to play into the shorter attention span. But, you know, there's blasting music. You know, I was at one the other day where it was like, you know, hearing my worst tirade in a song of profanity, just like thrown through. There's tons of drug references in the song. And like, I don't even mean references. I mean like drug commentary. So it was a little interesting. I don't remember that being any of the things I went to, and UCF sure didn't do that. So George O'Leary wasn't allowing that shit.
I wouldn't expect him to. So you were an offensive lineman. You now are an offensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
The football that we've talked about obviously involves extensively the passing game, the spread offense, a lot of new concepts, a lot of spread formation, spacing, all those things. So how did you transition from what you knew as a player lining up along the line versus scheming and drawing up plays and philosophies and all that?
I knew absolutely nothing as a player, and I was considered the more football IQ person. So that's kind of funny. But when it came down to it, the first day I walked into coach, I was already told, you know, keep your mouth shut, keep your eyes and ears open, bring your notepad with you, take a lot of notes, make sure you got 2 pens, all that kind of information, to just like notes. And then I figured out in like 30 seconds, just hearing other people, I was like, I don't know what the hell they're talking about. So, I mean, I felt like I knew nothing. going in. And I always thought I knew a lot about football as a player, and I was always told that by people. But man, I didn't know anything. So building up from there, I was actually groomed to be a linebacker coach and defensive coordinator. And I also just always helped with offensive line because I had played it. So I was like, okay, the main offensive line coach is going to take all the starters and like the guys who roll in. I'm going to take all the other kids and I'm going to get in a stance and every day work on the basics. And so I just sort of built up the acumen of the fundamentals while I was really deep diving into linebackers, defense, coverage, all this stuff. And over time, I went to one stop where they needed a freshman head coach, offensive coordinator. They had a defensive coordinator, had a switch. And then it was the first time I'd really thought more scheme based about offense. And then, I sort of bounced around a little bit again, and then wound up as a head coach and had to coach offense, defense, and special teams all more or less by myself for the first year. And really had, didn't know what the hell I was doing then. And then brought on a really good offensive coordinator who taught me a lot. And then he took off for a college job. And then I sort of mixed some of that in with some other things I was learning. And just, you call up all your friends and ask them, what the hell am I doing wrong? And started having all these meetings with different guys where I would just write everything they said down. And eventually sort of like when I went to Oregon, did a lot of offense and a lot of defense. And at Pender High, did the JV offense, varsity defense. And now I've progressed slowly from well, not slowly, but I guess just in 1 year, from offensive line coach to offensive coordinator and stuff, which in my world is slow, and in everybody else's world is probably a huge jump.
We enjoyed the conversation with Justin DeTavio just about every week. You can catch him on Twitter at Ironman Football. Also, the website is ironmanfootball.blog, if I remember correctly.
ironmanfootballblog.com.
There you go. And also at State of the U, of course, where we have quite the connections there with Cam Underwood and the rest of the staff. And you can catch his breakdown of film right there on State of the U. Anything recent that you've got posted there?
On Friday, it'll be the 21st. There'll be a piece up on Y Cross, which is one of Hal Mummy and Mike Leach's original air raid plays. A little bit more about mesh. And just some other little ins and outs going up there on State of the U, usually revolving around film stuff. Eventually, we'll have some EA NCAA football what if type things if it had come out. But usually, I'm doing every Friday, posting between 8 and 10, depending on workouts and stuff. Usually, have a scheme piece up there for like a film room type thing for people to check out.
So based on everything that you know about Dan Enos's offense, do you expect that you will pretty much see everything that you anticipated seeing this season? Or are you thinking, okay, game one, I'm just going to open my eyes up and see what he's got, and I may be not completely, but there may be some wrinkles and some things in there that I didn't expect?
I think he gave a good sampling of the menu in the spring game. He was less vanilla than other people normally would be. I think he was looking to have a little fun, and I think it's going to be a very exciting year offensively. I think it's going to look different than people expected and got kind of used to, and I think that there is going to be more success than there has been. I'm really hoping they can settle on a quarterback. I think the offensive line will be in better shape once that happens. There's a lot that goes into having a quarterback with different skill sets and things that you have to really prepare for. A Tate Martell is going to run around more, is going to have a lot of different things you have to practice, and they probably have a little bit different scheme than for Jaron Williams and N'Kosi Perry. So I think there's just things they need to start getting settled in, and then you can tell the guys this is what we're going with. How much scrambling do we have to worry about versus how much straight pass protection, and just some things like that you want the play recognition in now, and it's probably going to be to an extent, but there's going to be things that each one's going to have to them that you wouldn't do if you had a clear number one starter. It would all be driven to that person. But he did a great job at Alabama having Tua and Jalen Hurts ready to go, even though they were very different skill sets, obviously. So I think he made Jalen Hurts a lot better in a very short amount of time, which is something that he can do to those three guys and really improve them in a short amount of time and get them ready.
So, Justin, you know how narratives work on social media, and narratives get built, groupthink sets in, and everybody jumps on board. And most of us don't have enough knowledge to break through and think something different. So the reason I bring that up is so the common thought process concerning Mark Richt and his offensive approach at Miami is that it was outdated. A lot has to do with lack of motion, running the same plays, basically taking an early 2000s offense that was successful for him at the time and not changing, adapting, and so forth. Do you think that that criticism is overblown? Uh, I didn't see enough or can't analyze it well enough, a little bit of both, to come to a conclusion myself. But I got to think that somebody like Mark Richt is smart enough to know what he doesn't know, and that the concepts and obviously there's also an argument between talented players being able to execute plays versus how much do the X's and O's really matter versus just run the plays and execute well, and you can run about anything if you're good enough, and that balance to that argument as well. So what's your take on the the criticism of the archaic offense and how much that had to do or did not with the lack of success that final season?
I mean, I think that was a part of it. I think that there wasn't a lot of creativity. I think at Georgia, the recruiting had been so strong, you could sort of line up and beat people with just talent, right? I mean, you had guys like Aaron Murray and you had Chubb and Sony
Sure.
Michelle and
AJ Green,
I mean
all sorts
just
of guys.
yeah, I mean who was the other running back that they had? I mean they had like three NFL running
Sure.
backs
Todd Gurley.
Todd Gurley in one swoop, right? That's rare. That's like 2001 Miami, level of talent. And I mean, that made Larry Coker look good enough to keep his job for quite a while because of that talent. And I think that they were running a very similar offense at Georgia to what Miami was. The problem is that 2008 catches up to 2015, it catches up to today. And there are things you're going to have to do to adapt and change. And I don't think having a back start in the pistol and walk up next to the quarterback is going to change anything at all when you're running on first down, you're running on second down, you're throwing deep on third down. I just don't think that was what everyone did in 1997 in the NFL, and that just isn't a thing that's going on now in the NFL. It's not going on now in college football. It's not going on now in high school football. Like uh, guys are moving too fast, too quickly, on defense to where you're going to have to do something that manipulates someone somewhere. So if guys are going to blitz six guys, do you have an offense designed to throw right behind that and get the ball right over the middle of the field, or the ball out to the flat? Or are you going to play that horizontal kind of quick game? You're going to have answers. And I don't feel like they had a lot of answers. Even when they were running some of the run pass option stuff, it felt like he always felt like he needed to do it as a gimmick. And so it came at a no huddle up tempo sort of time in the game. And it was never something where they did it. It never felt like it was part of the permanent package. And so, when you start to dabble and grab bag at this NFL play and then that college play, and I saw this in a game, I don't think it's what you have. So, I'm really big on clarity, confidence, conviction. If it's not very clearly defined to your players and they don't have the confidence to go do it, and neither do you really have the conviction to go out and win a game? Self-efficacy. So I think that is where some of the struggle was. I think he saw the need to change. I'm just not sure if at that point of his career, and then surrounding yourself by your son and Stacey Searles, I always felt was the overrated offensive line coach. I wasn't sure. The most improved grouping of that was the tight ends and the receivers, and both of them were let go. Ron Dugans is up at Florida State. He's an awesome coach, and I think that wasn't taken advantage of as much as it could have been. Every time that you started to see like a receiver have a breakout game, all of a sudden he wasn't throwing the ball for the next week. It didn't make a whole lot of sense all the time.
All right, Justin Tatavio clearing things up on Miami and talking about high school recruiting camps, summer camps leading into college. Justin, we appreciate you stopping by.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, good stuff.